Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'll continue with plant tissue. In the previous video, I have explained about meristematic tissue. Today, I will continue with the permanent tissue. What is permanent tissue? Permanent tissue is they are formed by the division and differentiation of meristematic tissue. After the formation of meristematic tissues, when these meristematic tissues that are grown completely and have lost the ability, this permanent tissue will lose the ability of cell division, are known as permanent tissue. This permanent tissue will take up some specific role and attain a permanent shape, size and function. These permanent tissues may be living or dead. The structure of the cell will be large vacuoles, thin or thick cell wall will be present. So what we are going to study in permanent tissue? Permanent tissue is of two types, that is simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. In simple permanent tissues, there are two types of tissues, that is supportive tissues and protective tissue. In supportive tissue, we'll study about it is of three types, that is parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. And this protective tissue is of two types, that is epidermis and cork. So permanent tissues, the tissue that are completely grown and have lost the ability of division, are known as permanent tissue. See, this permanent tissue, when after the division, meristematic tissues, when it is grown up, matured, then there will be no cell division will takes place and it will become a permanent tissue, formed by the division and differentiation of meristematic tissue, and they are actually originated from the meristematic tissues. They will attain a permanent shape, size and function. The cells may be living or dead. In this permanent tissue, the cells may be living or it may be dead cells will be present. So we'll study what is the function of this permanent tissue. The permanent tissue will have four functions, that is it will provide protection, it will photosynthesis will takes place, it will provide support and storage. These are the main function of permanent tissue. So we'll start with the simple permanent tissue. This simple permanent tissue is made up of similar types of cells. Means tissues, as you know, means a group of cells will perform a specific function. So in this, the cells will be similar type. Similar types of cells will be present in this simple permanent tissue that perform a common function, protection, and they are protective and supportive in nature. Simple permanent tissues are of three types, that is they are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. These are the three types of simple permanent tissue. First one is parenchyma, where it is actually present. See, this parenchyma will be present in the stem, roots, leaves and flowers and fruits of the plants. So occurrence where it is present. These parenchyma cells will be present in the stem. It will be present in the stem, roots, leaves, flowers and fruits. Now next we'll see the structure of the parenchyma. They are the living tissue, means they are living in nature, they are not dead cells, and basic packing tissue they form. It helps in packing the tissues, which consist of relatively unspecialized cell. The cells of this tissue will have thin cell wall. You know that plant cell will have cell wall will be present, and in this parenchyma the cell wall will be thin. This is the image of the parenchyma tissue. So here you can see there is a thin cell wall is present, and this cell wall is made up of cellulose. The shape of the cell will be round, polygonal or elongated in shape. You can see the shape of the cell, that is, it may be polygonal, elongated and round in shape. Cells of these tissues have cytoplasm. In this cytoplasm will be present small nucleus. In this there will be a small nucleus will be present in the cell, and the vacuoles will be large in this. The cell may either be closely packed or may have intercellular spaces will be present. The intercellular spaces means the spaces between the cells. Intercellular, the spaces between the cells, the intercellular spaces will be present in it. This parenchyma is the first evolved permanent tissue which is present in all parts of the plants, that is all the soft part of the plants, therefore called a universal tissue. Now we'll see what is the function of this parenchyma. You can see this is a structure of parenchyma tissue. See, this is a thin cell wall, nucleus is small and large vacuoles will be present, and you can see this is a intercellular spaces. Now we'll see what is the function. These tissues provide support to the plant and helps in the storage of food. So this tissue will provide support to the plant and help in the storage of food. So this is the function of parenchyma. Now we'll see there will be a modification of parenchymal cells. So what is this parenchyma? In some cases will contain chlorophyll, thus called sclerenchyma. See this, the cells which contains chlorophyll, parenchyma cells which contains chlorophyll is called sclerenchyma, and it helps in photosynthesis. Thus they are present in the mesophyll of the leaves. This mesophyll is located in between the two epidermal layers, and these mesophyll contains chloroplasts, the organelles responsible for the photosynthesis. So the function of this sclerenchyma will be synthesis of food, means photosynthesis will take place in this. Now next is parenchyma. Again there will be a modification in this parenchyma tissue. It is found in the aquatic plants. Provide buoyancy, means it will help in the floating of the plants. Example, lotus. This parenchyma cells which surrounds the large air cavities. The air cavities will be present in the cells. It is found in the aquatic plants, or you can say the hydrophytes, and it will help in floating. Example will be lotus. Next is collenchyma. This is the second type of simple permanent tissue where it is present. It is present below the epidermis in stem, leaf stalk and leaf margins. The structure of this collenchyma cells will be, they are living cells, and it is elongated or vary in structure. The structure may vary. Irregularly thickened at the corners. See, this is the collenchymal tissue. You can see here will be the thickness. At the corners it will be thickened. Here you can see at this corner here it will be thickened due to the deposition of pectin, which helps in it is deposited on the cell wall. Intercellular spaces are absent, so you can see the spaces, there will be no spaces present between the cells here because the cell wall is thick. That's why there will be no intercellular spaces are not present. Leaf margins will be present in the leaf margins, and leaf stalk, this is the stalk where plant के leaf stalk से attach होगा this, it will be flexible. And why it is flexible? Because so that it will be attached with the stem. Now we'll see the function. It provides mechanical strength. See, it is present in the stem. It is present in the stem, leaf stalk and leaf margin. So what it has to do, it has to give support or strength to this, and it will provide elasticity. Because of the elasticity, अगर वो elasticity present नहीं होगी, then it may break. It can move, and it provides flexibility, easy bending in various parts of plants without breaking. So next is sclerenchyma. This sclerenchyma is the third type of simple permanent tissue. It is present in stem of some plants, and the structure, they are dead cells. So these sclerenchyma tissues are the dead cells, and other two cells, parenchyma and collenchyma, are the living cells. They are long cells devoid of protoplasm. It means, see, this is a sclerenchyma tissue. This is elongated and devoid of protoplasm. Protoplasm means no nucleus, no cytoplasm will be present. It means they are the dead cells. Cell wall of this sclerenchyma is thick due to the deposition of lignin. So because of the deposition of lignin, it is very hard. No intercellular spaces are present. So see, there will be no intercellular spaces are not present in the sclerenchyma. We have seen in sclerenchyma and in collenchyma there will be no intercellular spaces are present, but the intercellular spaces are present in parenchymal tissue. In this parenchymal, intercellular spaces are present in parenchyma, and in this collenchyma, no intercellular spaces are absent. Here it is absent, and this sclerenchyma also no intercellular spaces are present. Now we'll see what is the function of this sclerenchyma. It provides mechanical strength because lignin, it becomes very hard and stiff. So it provides support, and it makes the plant hard and stiff. Now we'll see protective tissue. So protective tissues are of two types, that is epidermis and cork. So protective tissue, what will be the function of the protective tissue? It will provide protection to the plant. What is epidermis? Epidermis is the outermost layer on plants. It covers the plant's outermost covering of the plant. This is a protective tissue that covers the entire surface of the plant, and it will protect from infection, from water loss, and it also regulates the gaseous exchange in plant cells. We'll see the structure of this epidermis, made up of single layer of cells. See, the outermost covering will be made up of this epidermis. So it will form a single layer of cells. Cells are elongated and flat. See, these cells will be elongated and flat. No intercellular spaces will be present. So there will be no intercellular spaces are present in between. Now where it is present? Outermost layer of all the plant parts. Example will be leaves, flowers, stems and roots. Function: protects all parts of the plant. Plants of dry habitat have thicker epidermis. Why dry habitat will have thicker epidermis? Because it protects the plants from water loss, because in the desert area there will be a scarcity of water, so that it protect the plant from the water loss. Example is cactus. Prevent water loss. Epidermal cells on the aerial part of plant secretes waxy substances. So the aerial part will secrete waxy substances for the protection. This waxy substance prevent from water loss, from injury, fungal infection, and this waxy substance is cutin, a layer of cuticle form water resistant. This waxy substance is cuticle, that is cutin, which forms a layer, and what does it do? It forms a water resistant. This epidermal cells are also present in the roots in the form of hair-like structure, and this hair-like structure will helps in increase in the absorption of water and increases the surface area of roots. And this epidermal cells will be present in the leaves, forms the stomata. Stomata, you know, through which the gaseous exchange will takes place. And this stomata is the guard cell, guarded by the guard cells. Guard cells are like kidney shaped. This is the kidney shape. This guard cells will be present in the leaves. Next is cork. These cork cells are the dead cells, and it provide external protective tissue. Actually, this is the cork cell when it is one of the many layers of bark. It is present on the stem. Between the cork and primary phloem, the cork cambium is lateral meristem and is responsible for the secondary growth that replaces the epidermis in the roots and stem. These cork cells are compactly arranged cells. The arrangement will be compactly. Intercellular spaces will be absent in it, and walls have suberin. The cell wall will have suberin. Prevent from the water loss from the tissues. This suberin is waxy substances present in the cell wall of cork tissues. Waxy substances which prevent from water loss. It is present in the root and shoot. Next, what is the function? Protection to mature root and shoot. So it will provide protection. Suberin regulates gaseous exchange and water passage. Complex. Now we'll start with the complex permanent tissue. So we have studied about the simple permanent tissue. Next is complex permanent tissue. Complex permanent tissues are made up of more than one type of cells, and all these cells will coordinate to perform a common function. Means what? All the four cells will together perform a function. Complex tissues are of two types, that is xylem and phloem. See, this complex permanent tissue is of two types, that is xylem and phloem. This xylem are made up of four different types of cells. Now, this xylem and phloem both are called the conducting tissues. They help in the transportation of food and water, minerals from one part to another part of the plant's body. So these two will be called as conducting tissue. They are made up of xylem are made up of four different types of cells, that is tracheids, xylem vessels, xylem fiber, and xylem parenchyma. Xylem parenchyma. So these three cells are dead cells. These tracheids, xylem vessels, and xylem fibers are dead cells, and this xylem parenchyma is living. Now we'll start with the tracheids. See here, this is the structure of xylem. See, this is tracheids, this is tracheids, and this is xylem. This is tracheids, and this is xylem fibers. This is xylem vessel. This is xylem vessels, and this is xylem parenchyma. So this is vessels and this is xylem parenchyma. So we'll start with the tracheids. This is tracheids. This is tracheids. These are made up of dead cells. These are made up of dead cells. Can you see the structure? It is elongated with tapering ends. This is tapering ends means it is tapered. मुड़ा हुआ होता है ऊपर से. Tapering ends. Conducting water through pits. You can see the small pores are present which is called pits, which helps in the conduction of water. There will be an end-to-end arrangement. End-to-end, the structure will be like this. Here small pits will be present and water will flow through the pits. These are the tracheids. See, these are the dead cells and they are lignified. Water go through pit present in the tracheids. Function will be they provide mechanical support. See, the tracheids will not have open ends like the vessels. So the water has to pass from cell to cell via these pits. Next is xylem vessels. See, this is vessels. This is vessels. Here, this is a xylem vessels. They are long, tube-like structure, end-to-end arrangement of cells. Now, what is end-to-end arrangement? See, this will form end-to-end arrangement so that they can form a tube-like structure and so transport water from the roots to the leaves. Thick cell wall and lignified. The cell wall will be thick and lignified. Transverse wall get dissolved and make a continuous wall pipes, helps in long distance conduction of water and minerals. So it will form a tube like structure so that it will help in the end to end. This is the arrangement and it will form a long tube like structure for the conduction of water and minerals. And what is the function? This is see, this is a pits. Function, the conduction of water and provide mechanical support. Next is xylem fibers. See, this part is called xylem fibers. They are the dead cells. These xylem fibers are the dead cells. They are thick wall, narrow cells. The cell wall will be thick and with the tapering ends, and it will provide strength. The main function of this is to provide support and provide strength. Next is xylem parenchyma. The xylem parenchyma is the only living cell. This is the only living cell in the xylem. These cells serves for the storage of food. See, this is xylem parenchyma. This is xylem parenchyma. They are the living cells. These cells serves for the storage of food. So this conduction helps in the conduction of water and minerals. So these are the function of xylem parenchyma. Give strength and support to the plant. Next we'll start with the phloem. This phloem is made up of 4 different types of cells, that is sieve tube, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. These 3, sieve tube, companion cells and phloem parenchyma, are living cells. So we'll start with the sieve tube. Here we'll see this is sieve plate. This is sieve plate. This is sieve tube. Phloem parenchyma. This is phloem parenchyma and this is companion cell. Sieve tube. The structure of sieve tube will be like this. See, this is elongated tube-like structure. This is sieve tube. Elongated and tube-like structure. cell wall is thin. The cell wall of this sieve tube will be thin. Wall of the sieve tube is perforated, means there will be pores will be present in this sieve tube. Holes will be present. Cells are placed above the other. See, 1 to 1 एक के ऊपर एक present होगा sieve tube. The function will be they help in the transport of food from leaves to storage organs and other parts of the plant. So it will help in the transportation of food. Next is companion cell. See, this companion cell is associated with the sieve tube. It will help together. These two, sieve tube and companion cell, will together work together. They are associated with the sieve tube. They are living cells. I told you 3 cells, that is sieve tube, companion cells and parenchyma. These three cells are living cells, and phloem fibers is a dead cell. The cell wall is thin. See, these companion cells have smaller cells having dense cytoplasm and prominent nucleus will be present. This companion cell helps in the sieve tube in conduction of food materials. Function is they help in the functioning of the sieve tube. Next is phloem parenchyma. This is phloem parenchyma. This phloem parenchyma is living cell and have thin cell wall, and it helps in the storage of food. Stores food like starch, fat and other organic food. It will help in the sideways conduction of food. Sideways conduction means it will be the arrangement will be like this, sideways. This sideways conduction of food will takes place. Now next is phloem fibers. These phloem fibers are the dead cells. Phloem or blast fibers of some plants are source of commercial fibers. Example, jute. The cell wall is thick, and the function they mainly provide support, and they are used for the commercial, used for fibers. Example is jute, flax. The function of the phloem is to transport the food which is prepared in the leaves by the photosynthesis, and the food is transported in the both directional from the leaves to the storage organs, and later when required for the stored organs to the growing region of the plant body. The direction with this phloem, it will be bidirectional. Movement in phloem will take is bidirectional, meaning it will flow in both the direction, and xylem is unidirectional. Movement in phloem is bidirectional. Movement in xylem is unidirectional, means upward. The movement in phloem is bidirectional, means the movement of food in phloem is in the upward and downward direction. Movement of xylem is unidirectional, means what, in one direction from upward, in upward direction will takes place. So that's all for today. In the next video I will start with the animal tissue. Thank you.